Hey guys, I will be doing a review comparison between the Samsung Galaxy J7 Star and the Galaxy J3 Prime. Both of these phones are budget phones. This J7 Star retails for $250 and the J3 Prime retails for $100. So there is a price difference even though they're both budget phones. This one, they have about $100 and $50 price difference, and I'm gonna be talking about if the price difference really justifies the more expensive price of J3 Star or J7 Star compared to the J3 Prime. So I'll run down the specs really quickly, a spec comparison of these two because they're clearly different phones and they have different specs. So one of them, the J7 Star, has a 5.5-inch 720p display, while the J3 Prime has a 5-inch 720p display. The J7 Star has a 13-megapixel camera. Both cameras, the front and the rear, are 13-megapixel cameras, which is pretty impressive. And for the J3 Prime, the front-facing camera is only a 2-megapixel camera, and the rear is only a 5. So that is just kind of shows that it is a lesser of a quality camera, even just by looking at the specs, because 5-megapixel is considered very low, especially to today's standards. Now, just to mention the differences, one of the main difference between these two phones is that the J7 Star is a very new phone. It came out in July of this year, 2018, and the J7 Prime came out in 2017 actually, in April of 2017, so it's actually been a while, and it is almost coming to a 2-year mark. So I'm not all that surprised about a 5-megapixel rear camera, because that's really, I guess that was sort of like the standard for this kind of price budget for a while ago. But now companies are making a lot of things much better, even at a lower price. This has a pretty nice processor. It uses Samsung's own Exynos 7 octa-core processor, so it is a pretty good processor. And the J3 Prime uses a Qualcomm Snapdragon 425. It is a quad-core processor, so it is definitely less powerful. And because, again, this is almost a 2-year-old phone, we probably should not expect the best performance, even at this low cost. The J7 Star has a 2 gigabytes of memory and 32 gigabytes of storage with expandable micro SD card slot on the side. And the J3 Prime has 1.5 gigabytes of RAM, memory RAM, and has a 16 gigabyte storage and also a micro SD card slot under the hood. The J7 Star has a 3300 milliamps of battery. This one, the J3 Prime, has 2600 milliamps, so it is a pretty big difference, but one does have a smaller screen than the other. So we'll take a look at that as well. So taking a look at the design, the J7 Star has a more unified look because of this unibody plastic design. It is an all plastic build, obviously, except for the front glass, and that makes it feel really solid in the hand. It doesn't feel like it's gonna like bend, or it does not feel cheap, like that cheap or anything like that. It feels like a good phone. The back, the unibody reminds me sort of like iPhone 5C, to put it nicely, because the iPhone 5C was also very nice looking plastic. This is also a very nice looking plastic. The front, pretty thick bezels. It's not really up to today's standards of even budget phones having small bezels. The J3 Prime it is again a 2-year-old phone and has a relatively okay design. The front is pretty much the same thickness of bezel. It is obviously a smaller phone, but it does have about the same size bezel as the J7 Star. And the back, and this phone is not unibody, as you can see. You can actually take off the back cover, so it's clearly not unibody. And also there's this camera strip right here that just shows that it's not unibody. Doesn't feel as nice. The texture is more soft touch, whereas this is a little bit more slippery, feels a little bit more quality material sort of. So definitely the J7 Star has much better overall quality to it in terms of the build. Now let's take a look at the screen. Obviously Samsung makes really nice screens, and they're both pretty excellent screens, I would have to say. So if we could do full brightness, well, almost full brightness, they get very, very, very bright. So actually my camera can't even handle the exposure that the camera brings, but I'll try to focus on this. Here it is. So this is a side-by-side view of the screen, and you can kind of see the screen on the J7 Star on the right is slightly dimmer actually than the J3 Prime. So the J3 Prime actually gets brighter than the J7 Star, which is surprising, and the colors just pop a little bit more on the J3 Prime than on the J7 Star. I don't know if it's the screen size that's changing up or something else, but overall the J7 Star has a much less vibrant screen for some really weird reason. So it just got real dark. I do not know what's going on with my J7 Star, but it's not that bright, whereas the J3 Prime is very bright. So that's just a comparison. Now the speeds on each phone, it's pretty good. Oh, before talking about the speed, let's talk about the software. This has the latest software, latest Android software as well, and it has pretty nice software. It has Samsung's skin on top of it, and to be honest, it's not that bad. And the notification drop down looks like this. It's not that bad. This has the older software, and this has the click button app tray, and the notification drop down is also a little bit outdated. So definitely the software is better, I have to say, on this guy, and just overall cleaner look. You can also see that when you go in settings. It just has it has a different UI, a more cleaner UI. So yeah. Now the cameras on both phones, this one, the J7 Star, definitely has a better camera, no doubt. It is a 13 megapixel camera in both the front and rear camera of the device, and so that makes it a very nice picture taker on this guy. And this guy, the J3 Prime, is a pretty horrendous picture taker because it has a 5 megapixel camera and the quality just does not match. So I'll take a picture on both phones. So as you can see, the J3 Prime is slightly slower in terms of responses. Yeah, you just saw the camera app closing faster on the J7 Star, and that just shows how much faster it is. The J7 Star is definitely a lot faster in terms of speed, and so yeah, so that's been the review of these two phones. The battery life on both are pretty good, but I would say the J7 Star definitely has a much better battery. I've been getting 20 to 30% at the end of the day. For this one, more like 10 to 15. Still a pretty good battery in my opinion, and I'm a pretty heavy user on a daily basis. So the batteries are pretty good. Now, is the $150 price difference worth the $150 more that you have to pay for the J7 Star? And my answer would be yes and no. Yes, if you take a lot of pictures and if you want that bigger display, 5.5 inches, and yes, if you want actually care about the design and the feel in the hand, and you're not going to have a case or anything. If you are really limited on budget and you do not care about the camera that much or something like that, and you don't really care about the design because you're going to put a case on anyways, then I think J3 Prime is just as good of a choice as the J7 Star. But it really depends on what you want, and if camera is going to be a big issue, I would definitely go for the J7 Star, even if you need to pay the extra $150. So thank you for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed and learned from the video, and please give it a thumbs up. Thanks.